Hi everyone. I'm actually taking a walk nearby around my home. Yeah, in this block, and it's actually pretty dark right now. But actually, because it's quite safe, I can actually take a walk. And so I just wanted to actually make a video and actually upload it later about this topic of soul ties and trauma bonds with narcissists. And so anyway, so as y'all can tell, it's a bit noisy because of the background, so I'll actually make my way to this park or this open area later on, and I'll actually make it there, make the video there. So okay, back to the whole idea of soul ties and trauma bonds with a narcissist. So I know that it's not universally believed in by everyone, and depending on the person's religious background, there is the whole debate as to whether there's such a thing called a soul tie. But we know that at least on the neurological and even psychological level, with regards to narcissists and the way they actually manipulate you, the way they abuse you first, by actually love bombing you and getting you to bond with them and to find some form of confidence in them, and before they actually start abusing you. This kind of bond that is formed between the victim of a narcissist, who is normally either an empath or a codependent. Okay, and also the bond between the victim and the narcissist is always called a trauma bond, because in itself the trauma bond is actually rooted in the narcissist awareness of the trauma. Yes, the innate trauma of the victim. Okay, the narcissist actually knows deep inside out what the victim's weaknesses and strengths, actually mostly the weaknesses, what ticks they have, they suffer, and what they desire. So in this knowledge, the narcissist actually pretends, and for the time being, they actually pretends that they actually could offer the victim whatever they are looking for in someone else, because the victim actually is looking for some form of validation, some form of support and love and affection from outside of themselves. Okay, so that is actually how the soul tie or the trauma bond is actually being formed with the narcissist on the part of the victim. The thing is this, with regards to trauma bonds, sometimes trauma bonds, they don't actually disappear after the relationship with the narcissist ends. So it's actually very common, and some victims actually claim that even after they have left the narcissist, they keep on thinking about the narcissist. They actually don't just keep on thinking, they actually know that it's not good for them, that the narcissist has actually abused them, but yet they keep on wishing that they could actually reconcile or patch things up with the narcissist, or they hope for some form of closure. So it's like this. It's a little bit like this case of that you are the frog who gets into the pot of boiling water, you're being thrown into it, but that the pot of boiling water is it's really hot, and then later on you just manage to actually get out of it by somehow, but you still wish that you could go back, thinking that the pot of water will become cool or cold later on. We know that doesn't really work out, because obviously it's going to get even hotter. So but that's the kind of thing with trauma bonds. The victims always keep on wanting to go back, although they know that essentially it wouldn't happen. There's certain kinds of like nostalgia, romanticization of the relationship in its better moments, or even if it's not even if it doesn't have any better moments, there's always a romanticization of the potential of that relationship. And that's where it gets disturbing. So most of this victims keep on going back to the narcissist. Those who have actually read up about it will know that victims go back. Especially for women who suffer from DV and even abusive relationships, they actually go back a minimum of about 7 times. So it's like it is a to and fro, and with all this to and fro between their abusive partners and then the so-called better times, whatever, or even moments of break from that so-called intermittent reinforcement that is done by them, by the partner. They actually persist for years. What I'm actually going to talk about the soul tie is also of trauma bond is that sometimes as we know, it manifests not just in physical areas, but there are also certain psychological or emotional, and some people even claim astral realms in which this trauma bonds manifest. So this can actually happen in terms of the area of dreams. Dreams, there will be different way of looking at it. For example, some people will claim that they dream about the former narcissist in their life who had abused them, and this kind of dreams, I'm not saying that, of course I don't believe that these are signals to the victim to actually reconcile. It doesn't mean that, but they actually represent a kind of unresolved, unfinished businesses where the where the narcissist comes back in the realm of the unseen, the unconscious or subconscious, when they cannot actually come back in the realm of the conscious, meaning the physical world. So this can happen even, let's say, in the cases where the narcissist might have passed away or might be in a different country from the victim, but the victim keeps on having things like nightmares about the narcissist or nightmares related to the narcissist. So these are forms of trauma bonds. I know that in spiritual circles and even religious circles, there's this claim that they represent demonic soul ties, or even some would even say demonic strongholds, which are supposedly, they say that is actually empowered by some demonic forces or demonic energies or demons, and that we need to actually pray and fast to God and to get them away. I'm not actually going to talk about the spiritual means, because I believe that all of us, those who are religious or spiritual, we have our own sources, but I'm going to talk about this more physical way, the more symbolic way, in which without resorting to any spiritual or religious ways, that we can actually get rid of the soul tie or resolve it, the what I call trauma bond, and resolve it. So I think it starts with recognizing that the narcissist was never really in love with us, or never really loved us, depending on their relationship. So in all senses of the word, the narcissist was only pretending. They pretended to be our friends, to be our lover, our family member, whatever. They pretended that so that they could actually use us. And once they actually got what they wanted, they showed their true colors, which was that they were really just out to use us. So because they're out to use us, they never really loved us. Knowing that will actually allow us to stop romanticizing all that potential, okay? Because there is no potential. It's a lie, okay? But on the symbolic level, I think that sometimes I used to actually ask a friend once. Asked a friend years ago. Actually, it was 2017 or 2016. Yes, I remember that was actually after, like, a few months after the how should I say, the discard. Yeah, and I was on a new job. But the thing was, the narcissist ex was still doing things like stalking me, and I actually felt that I need to resolve the trauma bonds, because that beyond the physical, not physical stalking, but the online stalking, and then constant shit testing, such as the narcissist getting friends, not my friends, but the narcissist friends, to or acquaintances, to mutual acquaintances that we knew, okay, to check in on me and find what I'm doing. I really deep down, I felt I was being hoovered and being stalked in a very psychical sense. Like, I couldn't sleep without the sense that someone was watching me, or drifting around. And I probably have told y'all that the thing is that I even dreamt in 2017 about the last narcissist ex having sex with another guy, which was it was really disgusting. I'm not interested in that, but it just makes you realize that this on a very spiritual or even energetic level, all these narcissists will have their hooks on into you. And we know that this is not just how to say, it's not just spiritual, because on the very neurological level, there are certain hormones involved. Yeah, I don't really know if anyone is actually aware. Okay, when we actually have physical or sexual relations, or we have some form of sexual relation, we it may not be very. I mean, some people say, "Oh no, but you haven't had any intercourse, so it's not considered sex." No, any kind of sexual relations, such as petting, touching, oral sex, or masturbation, or any kind of thing. Okay, whatever form of physical intimacy is involved, when there's some form of orgasm or even just pleasure involved, there is a release of oxytocin, the hormone which actually calms down your mind, and it produces some kind of it's a little bit like a, I won't say adrenaline rush, for lack of a better phrase, but it's more like it's very addictive, yeah. And it's the kind of feel good hormone, yeah, right after you have achieved your sexual arousal. So the thing about like sex with a narcissist, or even physical intimacy, is that after you have experienced that pleasure, you keep on actually going back for more. You desire it, even if the narcissist actually withholds it. And then coupled with that, there's also the other neurochemicals, neurological chemicals. Some of them, they involve, there's a that the emotional manipulation and withholding and all the abuses of the narcissist. It makes you go through a kind of high and low. Yeah, it's a kind of roller coaster. So the emotional abuse actually leads to this release of certain chemicals. These are more stress related, like there's cortisol, there's adrenaline, and then there's also the other kind of like precursor hormones, such as the noradrenaline, or this kind of hormonal neurochemicals. So in a way, it's like being involved with a narcissist physically, sexually, emotionally. It doesn't even need to be just sexual. It can be just emotional. It brings you through some kind of high and low. So you become somewhat of a so-called adrenaline junkie, or adrenaline. You're on adrenaline or cortisol rush, and it actually makes you. It binds you to the narcissist, even if you don't really actually enjoy that relationship. Okay, so but back to the whole thing about the symbolic way to actually resolve the soul tie, that's not soul tie, or the trauma bond. Okay, I know that the the real physical way, or at least a psychological way, is to recognize the abuse and to see through the deception, but beyond the deception, um, I think that we need to really actually localize or focalize that sense of cutting. Yeah, so yeah, I asked a friend once about something like, oh, this about this, back in 2016, do I need to do a cord cutting, a special religious or spiritual ritual? My friend who was actually he's more spiritual than religious, and this friend of mine who's actually in Sydney, Australia, who was my friend I bunked over with, he said, nah, it's not that difficult. What you need to do is just this, take a deep breath, inhale, and then exhale. And as you exhale, click delete and block. Yeah, delete and block the narcissist on social media, on emails, on your phone. Yeah, but I think that is a physical way of doing it, and it needs to be complemented, as far as I see it, on a more symbolic level. This will actually be applicable to even those who do not have a religion or who do not believe in anything spiritual. I think that this, the reinforcing pattern psychologically will actually serve to reinforce the real breaking of the trauma bond on a symbolic level. So what I actually told everyone was, please proceed with caution when you're doing this, because I don't want to actually contradict anyone's beliefs, but this has no religious or spiritual attachments or affiliations as a kind of symbolic action. It's more psychosomatic. So what you need to do is, get a piece of thread, or string, and then in your hands, between your thumb and your index finger, between your thumb and index finger, hold together both ends of the thread or the string. So while doing so, imagine that it's as if these two ends of the string are the two ends of a heartstring, that binds you. Okay, it's the one end of the heartstring is actually tied to your heart. Yes. The other end of the heartstring might not actually be tied to the heart of the narcissist. Maybe the narcissist is actually holding it in his or her hands. Depending on, you can visualize it accordingly. I think that most of the time I would just imagine that the particular narcissist is actually holding it in the hands. And as you actually imagine it, okay, just imagine that this heartstring is being severed or being cut, and that it actually burns and dissolves into nothing from an energetic cord or string or line. It dissolves into nothingness, and then so that that other person does no longer has a hold on it, and so that person no longer has access to your heart, to your emotional weaknesses, to your trauma, to your whatever. So it's symbolic of the trauma bonds dissolving. So of course, it doesn't just it's not just played out on the level of symbolism. I think you need to actually go to a therapist too, and a counselor, to talk things through and resolve it. But it's actually better than just holding on. And I think what you can do after that, okay, as you imagine the two ends of the thread, it's being dissolved, release your fingers, so that the two ends of the thread, the physical thread that you're holding in between your fingers will come apart. Yeah, and as they come apart, it's as if like physically and then also energetically and imaginatively and symbolically, that trauma bond is dissolving. So what you can do with that piece of thread is to either throw it away, or you can, if you even want to make that that so-called symbolic action or ritual or whatever more obvious, then probably even burn away the thread and just take the ashes away or whatever. But I probably wouldn't bother so much. But if you want to, you can do it. And so after that, stop talking about stop talking, like as in stop contacting the person or trying to contact. Don't let the person come back to you. Block the person, block the narcissist. If you have mutual acquaintances and friends, distance yourself from these people. And I mean, it has to be actual on a physical level, other than the the projected imaginative and symbolic level. And so of course you can do it in like a journal. Like that's what I did once too. I wrote down on a piece of paper what things that I wish that the particular narcissist would experience. And then I wrote it all. Actually, there was one many years ago, but then recently I just wrote something in the line of the glory, which was to write a so-called last letter to you. This is my last letter to you, to the narcissist. And in that last letter, in that last letter, don't hold it in, okay? You can curse and swear and do whatever you say, whatever, like list out the abusers and that they've done to you. Then as you finish, okay, time yourself. Time yourself for a while. Don't keep on doing it, or else you'll never end. Within maybe, let's say, half an hour or so, or maybe 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depending, just vent out all your frustrations on the few pages. And then, okay, take out those few pages, fold it up, and either you can put it somewhere or you can burn it up, depending. Think of it as actually a letter that you will never send to the narcissist, because simply you're just pretending that they're dead. So like in Chinese custom, they actually burn Jaws paper, or we call that silver paper. Is all this paper with those kind of silver or gold embossing, so that it's actually to be burnt as like some kind of like a money offering to the ghost or to the dead. So this is something that you're going to do to the narcissist. You're pretending they are dead, okay? And actually, you're not pretending. You're literally dating, DEAD, okay? You're doing date on them. So you're pretending that they already passed away. I'm not asking you to curse them. You don't have to curse them, but symbolically, it's a way of dissolving the trauma bond, so that they can't actually like have any effect on you, at least on the emotional and psychological level. Okay, so anyway, that's it for now. I will just talk again and upload other videos when I have time. Anyway, it's pretty late. I should get back. And this is a pretty long walk. Now that I come to think about it, it was like 10 something at night. But I don't really sleep so early. But actually tomorrow morning I'm going to see the psychologist again for EMDR. So I hope everyone has a good night. And so we'll see you again later. Okay, bye bye.